Joy, thank you. The joy,
Sorry.
joy, that's okay. We're all joyful here. Let's be sure we turn our phones off and let's just start off singing our joy song and just be grateful for the fellowship in this room, seeing the Christ in each other, and being together in joy. It looks like not only is it cold outside, but our words are a little cold this morning. We got to warm them up. Stand by.
Yes.
Well, I thank you all for being here on just a rainy and unpleasant day. Thank you. Thank you again for being here. And thank you to all the people who are looking at our service on the internet. How welcome you are. I'm glad you're here. Well, I have an interesting Bible quote, but first I have to light a candle. This is the candle of joy. Part of the feelings we have, the ways we seek to express ourselves in Advent. That is, as we greet the wonderful event that will take place in about 10 days, the celebration of the birth of Jesus. We can begin today with being joyful, certainly, about this wonderful event, this great event forthcoming. I thank you so much for being here with us to celebrate joy together. Well, I have a Bible reading. Well, it's not actually a Bible reading. I don't know if you've ever heard of the poet Rumi, but he was an Islamic scholar. He lived in the 13th century. He was a theologian and he was a mystic. And he wrote this: keep knocking at the joy inside, which will eventually open a window, and look out to see who's there. I'm going to repeat that again. Keep knocking, and the joy inside will eventually open a window and look out to see who's there. In other words, we have to work on joy. Oh, we're happy very often, I'm sure. We're appreciative very often, of that I'm sure. But joy is another step along the way. But we can experience it. We can look forward to having that feeling fill us of joy, of appreciation, of excitement perhaps, of just, oh, good, and our thanks for it. Rumi knew what he was talking about because he was a mystic. He had mystical experiences. But he said that joy would open the window and look out to see who's there, and then open the door. How wonderful to know that this is something that we can look forward to, that we can feel, and not just once in a while, but often. Joy. We can take joy in the wonderful holiday celebration that we will soon experience. We can feel joy at what we know about God and how blessed we are to not fear God, to only open our minds in love for Him. So many things to feel good about, to feel joy about. In the 5th Psalm, we read, let all those that put their trust in thee rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy, because thou defendest them. Thou defendest them. There are few things in life that we more value and need: our safety. To know that I'm going to be okay. Life is going to be okay. My family is going to be okay. What this says is that we can shout for joy. We can feel joyous because God is with us. Thou defendest us. Feeling that sense of relaxation and release of tension is something that we all have experienced and value. Today, let us feel joyful that we can experience it, that the door can be opened as well as the window to feeling wonderful about life, to feeling wonderful, blessed in all the good that is ours, today and every day. Shall we say our statement of being? Nope, no statement. Well, perhaps you know it, I'll just recite it. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Thank you so much. A lovely way to start our service. Thank you. Well, this is one of the most important parts of our service because most of us lead very busy lives, not a lot of time for just sitting and being still. We have to put aside that time. We have to make that time special for ourselves because it is so valuable. It gives so many gifts that getting still and turning within and relaxing. Shall we do that right now? That is, close our eyes, let our shoulders down, no tension in our faces, arms, legs, just a feeling of quietude, just a feeling of gratitude. We all know people who have a great deal of pain. It's my dearest wish that this day you are not burdened with that. And I know it's your dearest wish as well. Quietude, peace, and the opportunity to remember that we are the image and likeness of God. That part of us we call the Christ within. Christ was not Jesus' last name. It was a title. It meant the Son of a King. We are the children of the King of the universe. We are the children, the offspring, the creation of infinite power, infinite life, infinite love. We can feel glad for that. We can feel a sense of release and relief when we announce that, affirm it, impress ourselves with that truth. The image of God shining, grateful, and full of joy. In the next 90 seconds, I invite you to fill your mind not with the usual things, the everyday push and pull and responsibility and tasks, but fill your mind with thanksgiving and gratitude, a sense of joy as you count your blessings, as you feel a sense of reverence and awe about the wonderful holiday that we are about to have. Now is the time. Now is the time to give thanks, to feel joyful, starting right now. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Come unto me, Talk to God. Face Him in your mind. Not a person, but an energy. No nose, no ears, no eyes, but seeing, hearing, knowing you from one end of your life to the other, and loving you, approving you, celebrating you. Beloved Father, thank you for joy, for the ability to experience it, to know that it is available, and it matters not what we are experiencing in life, for joy is of God, and God is available always, constantly. For this and so much more, we give thanks. Amen. We will now say the Nura translation of the Lord's Prayer. This is the translation from Northern Aramaic, which was the language of Jesus. So we are saying it the way He intended it. Our Father, who is everywhere, your name is sacred, your kingdom is come, your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error, because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song and praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. Today I'm going to be talking about the power of law. Law. Now, we don't think about it very often, but law really occupies an important place in our lives. Our most fundamental behaviors were built, believe it or not, on the Ten Commandments that Moses received on Mount Sinai. They're so important that they appear both in the book of Exodus and the book of Deuteronomy. We all know them, certainly. But I'm going to go over an abbreviated version of them. The first one, of course, is you will have no other gods except me. Second, don't make any graven images. Don't make any idols. 3 is, don't take false oaths in my name. 4th is, keep the Sabbath holy. 5 is, honor your father and your mother. 6 is, you shall not kill. 7 is, you shall not commit adultery. 8 is, you shall not steal. 9 is, you will not bear false witnesses against your neighbor. That is, lie about them. 10 is, you shall not covet. That is, don't be envious of other people. It leads to more and more unpleasantness, unhappiness, and difficulty. Now, these 10 laws, these spiritual laws, are central to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. As a matter of fact, 5 through 9, that's killing, committing adultery, stealing, and lying about somebody, those are the basis of civil law. in almost every country in the world. But it isn't just the Ten Commandments where we run into laws, because laws are found everywhere, everywhere. In social interaction, unspoken laws apply. In medicine, in commerce, and certainly throughout science, laws. Chemistry's central law is the conservation of matter, which means matter can neither be created nor destroyed, it can only be rearranged. The central law in mathematics is the distributive law. In physics, it's Newton's second law of motion. In geology, it's the principle of superposition. You know what that means? It means the layer on the lowest part of the wall is the oldest, the top is the newest layer. In quantum mechanics, it's Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. There are laws in atomic physics, there are laws in astronomy, there are laws in every aspect of science, and so many other places that you can think of. Now, we can comfortably say that this universe is a universe of law. We continue through research, of course, to discover new laws from time to time, and sometimes we add the laws, and they've been known for a long time, but we add to them. Sometimes older laws need to be discarded. They're unnecessary or they're incorrect. But the obvious fact is that we are surrounded with laws. We live in an atmosphere of laws. Laws govern what we think, how we act, what everyone around us acts and believes, and what contemporary life seems to take for granted. One of the most interesting ideas that especially echoes our beliefs in divine science has come out of physics within the last maybe 15, 20 years. Now, many physicists have been researching and writing about the interconnectedness of all things. They call it quantum entanglement. In physics, it means that two particles become correlated in a way that their states are instantaneously linked, regardless of how far away they are from one another, 2 feet or halfway across the galaxy. They are so linked that whatever happens to one happens to the other instantly. Can you imagine working on that kind of the idea of a problem? Years ago, I used to talk about this connectedness of everything and how it's linked to science. But at the time, it was called Bell's theorem. Obviously, it's moved from just a theorem to a widely researched and tested fact. The interconnectedness of everything just doesn't apply to subatomic particles by any manner of means. It means as well, rather, that all living and non-living things are connected. All living and non-living things are connected, and their actions and interactions affect each other. In other words, we are interdependent with all things. That's a new idea. To me, it sounds suspiciously like omnipresence, which is a word that we use many times in our church services, in our talks. Omnipresence, which means God everywhere. Now, this isn't yet a quote unquote law in physics, not yet. It's still a theory, but it's a very powerful theory that a number of people are working on, are interested in. In that same body of information, there is also an idea called the theory of everything. The theory of everything. It says that matter, energy, and information can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Well, that's a little fuzzy and not quite easy to understand, but to me, to my ear, it sounds suspiciously like omnipotence, all power. They call it energy. It sounds rather, it is something that we know as omniscience, but to them, it's knowledge, information. The only quality of God that we can't find in the theory of everything is love. And God is love. That energy, that information, that matter, all created things really are full of God's love. According to the theory of everything, the meaning of life is for everyone to contribute to this collective flow of positive energy, matter, and information. And for us, love. Certainly, it's amply evident that all life here on Earth is interconnected. Plants, animals, water, air, soil, microorganisms, they all affect one another in very real ways. Complicated, but real. The health of one part of an ecosystem directly affects the health of all the others. Could that further persuade us of our connection with everything, with every person or thing on Earth, as well as on the moon, in our solar system, in our galaxy, in our universe? Connectedness. We are part of that, and it is part of us. Now, why am I going on and on about interconnectedness, about law? What's the purpose? Because every spiritual or philosophical belief system that I know believes in both law and interconnectedness. These days, many, not all, but many believe that that saying is close to being equivalent with everything. The universe is self-organizing. It contains all information. God is all-knowing. All energy. God is all power. Everything is connected to everything else. Now, who knows? In the future, this might be one of the laws in physics. Now, again, what is this to do with us? What is this to today? Well, we're in the middle of a hubbub of activities this time of year. Sometimes we have to handle a sense of discomfort. We're not well. There are so many little tasks like presents to wrap, food to fix, dealing with difficult relatives perhaps, challenging tasks, things that we don't want to have to do, but have to anyway. Having enough in the bank to to take care of all the things that we need. Maybe all the busyness of the season needs to be interlayered with one reminder. We need to stop and remember that our efforts, what we do, not just in the holiday season, but whenever, will have a much, much stronger effect. It will have effects far beyond what we can imagine. Does that sound strange? Let me get a small but thoughtful gift, a phone call. The Christmas cards with your word of encouragement, of love, your compassionate thought or prayer to someone who is physically ill, or somebody who is sick at heart, or is sick of their depression. That thought or prayer can change, can encourage positive effects. Why? Because we're all connected. Now, this is not just you or one other person, but everyone, everywhere, because we are all connected with one another. We're connected with this planet, this galaxy, this universe. And the most of all, we are connected with God. And nothing can change that. What a wonderful encouragement it is for us to look at others with empathy, compassion, and goodwill. Because what we send out, we receive. That was one of the laws of Jesus. As you sow, so shall you reap. We sow goodwill, we sow empathy and compassion, and we get it back. How we treat others blesses us and blesses them, or it brings us down. Can you possibly imagine how our thoughts and our actions can affect all things? What I do, what I say, what I think is affecting not just me, but everything. That's an awesome thought. That's an awesome responsibility, an awesome opportunity. Affecting other people, not here, but who knows where, but some people everywhere, all the time. In a little over a week, we're going to celebrate the birth of a man who was completely filled with the certainty of his connection with God and with all humanity. He also firmly believed in law. In Matthew, the 23rd chapter, it's not one of the easiest chapters to read because it's devoted to telling the truth about and criticizing the scribes and Pharisees. He says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you take tithes of mint, dill, and cumin, and you have overlooked the more important matters of the law, such as justice, mercy, and trustworthiness." They're worried about the mint, getting a tithe of the mint, when they should be worried about or expressing their best to use justice and mercy and trustworthiness in all their interactions with other people. Also, in the book of Matthew, we find the words, "And while they were guests in the house, a great many tax collectors and sinners came, and they sat as that guests with Jesus and with his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to his disciples, 'What does your master eat with tax gatherers and sinners?' But when Jesus heard it, he said to them, 'Those who are well need no doctor, but those who are seriously ill do. Go and learn what this means. I want mercy and not sacrifice. Now, what that means is instead of going to the temple and sacrificing animals on the altar there, he would prefer you express mercy. Learn what this means. He says, I want mercy and not sacrifice. For I came not to invite righteous men, but sinners. He was worried about the people who are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in trouble, not the other people who are living, shall we call it, righteous lives. Now, it's thought that sinners included thieves and prostitutes, drunks, maybe even murderers. And of course, it included the hated men who collected taxes for the Romans. Jesus is saying we're to look at all others with mercy. Right there, he calls it law. In Luke 17:17, we read about a group of 10 lepers who, standing a little further away, called out to him and asked for mercy. In other words, they wanted him to heal them. And he told them, go show yourselves to the priest. And while they were going, they were cleansed. They no longer had leprosy. But only one, a Samaritan, came back to thank him and praise God. And Jesus asked, were not 10 who were cleansed? Where are the 9? Only one came back. He didn't say that because he needed to be thanked, but because God should always be thanked. Right there, Jesus is teaching law, the workings of the law of gratitude. Gratitude to God and gratitude to others is necessary. When we express gratitude to God and others, our blessings from God and from others is multiplied. Well, how come? Haven't you noticed in your experiences that saying, thank you, I'm grateful, sometimes for a small gift or something for a very generous gift or act, what will that do? To say thank you will prompt more good relationships and gifts from whatever source. On the other hand, if you never bother to thank, there is no appropriate word or act toward the giver, it'll cause that person to think that the gift was taken for granted or just unappreciated. And will more gifts flow from that person? Probably not. Gratitude to God and others becomes a source of greater good to us. It's a spiritual law. This is the third Sunday in Advent, the week that we celebrate joy. We are celebrating joy for the birth of the greatest spiritual teacher who ever walked the earth. In the book of John, he says, I and the Father are one. In the books of Matthew and Luke, he says, our Father, our Father. He didn't make it exclusive to himself. He said God is our Father. Now, there's no doubt that he knew the truth of oneness. While we don't know if he ever spoke of people's connection to all things, such a statement certainly wouldn't have been understandable to his followers. But our perfect connection with God That is what he either implies or out and out states throughout the Gospels. Can we feel a sense of joy in this season of joy in knowing that every good thing that we have ever thought, said, or did blessed everyone? Can you imagine that? Not only everyone, but everything, everywhere. Can we remember that whenever we choose to follow the spiritual law, the rewards are going to come? They're guaranteed. Can we all take joy that in our thoughts, in our acts, in our words, we can bless the whole universe? Can you take joy in that thought? Shall we go within and give thanks? For that is the law. We can reach out mentally in our words, in our deeds, in our quiet thoughts, in our prayers, and supply the universe with a positive energy, with good, with blessing. Isn't that what God wants us to do? Isn't there a flow of what you might call energy from God to us to act, to think, to believe, to speak in positive ways? Are we not inwardly encouraged because it makes us feel good? Isn't that a clue? A clue from God. We give thanks. We give thanks for joy. We give thanks for the Master Jesus. We give thanks for all the good that we have and all the good that is to come. Beloved Father, thank you. Amen. addition to our service. We will now have the blessing of the gifts. We receive so many gifts. Oh, invisible ones. We turn the tap and water comes out. Visible ones. Friends, family who love us. Gifts of the right job, the right friends, the right opportunities, all of that are reasons for gratitude. And indeed, we bless the gifts that we receive in this church. We bless the gifts that you receive in your lives. We certainly bless the gifts that we receive from God. Shall we read together the blessing of the gifts? Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept God's will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. And I believe we're going to have some announcements.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Chris, for the wonderful Christmas music. We don't get to hear Christmas music, but once a year, Chris and I were talking about that. I think you can play it anytime personally because I love it. So anyhow, thank you for being here and doing that. Quite a few announcements this morning. Our Christmas Eve, we will have service next Sunday at our regular time. Then Christmas Eve, which is Tuesday, we will have service at 4 o'clock. And then the following Sunday, we'll be back on regular schedule. After the service on Christmas Eve, a lot of us like to go out to eat. So if you're interested in going to eat, we were going to go to Ichabod's. So please let me know today because I need to call and make the reservations and see how many people are going to be there. So if you're interested in going after the service on Christmas Eve, let me know. Also, next Sunday, we're going to have a wonderful Rick with his bells ringing tomorrow, and everybody gets to play the bells. So make sure that you're here for that. So we always look forward to that. So I wanted to touch base a little bit. We have people that have not been here. Our friend Dale has been out for quite a while. Please don't forget about Dale. Send him cards or call him. He has not been returning calls. I think he's just a little aggravated with things. And I talked to his caregiver. She says he's doing well under the circumstances, but I guess he just is in the mood not to have very much company or whatever. But you send him cards or just call him, leave a message and let him know that you are thinking about him. And if you've got a card for him and you want to put it with the Christmas cards in here, or you have anything else you want to give him, just leave it and I'll see that he gets it Christmas Eve or before then or something. So I appreciate that. Also, our friend Bob Brooks is usually here. This morning I decided that maybe it wasn't such a good idea to come out with the walker. I didn't want to take too much of a chance with him. So anyhow, so he's not here this morning, but both of them at some point will be watching the service. So if I can just say hi to them. So hi, Dale and Bob. So thank you for watching this. Also wanted to thank Amy Jo for she's up there menu here or whatever, and it really looks good. So thank you for doing that. And also thanks everybody for being patient with the technology. It has not been cooperating with us very well, but we're working on it. And one thing somebody told me a couple of weeks that they were here when we were having problems, and they said, "Oh, thank God y'all don't get all upset because I've been in churches where they would throw chairs and get mad at you because you did that." And I said, "Well, it happens. So it's just one of those things, but we'll get the kinks worked out someday." So, but thank you, Amy Jo. You just do such a good job. So thank you for doing that. Also, there's a basket in here with Christmas cards that people have left. So make sure you check that box, that basket, see if you have a Christmas card in there. And Bob Dieter made new directories. So if you want a new directory, please get one. Also, if there's any change in your phone number, your email, or whatever, please see Ann and let her know because she's in charge of taking care of the directory. So if you would do that, that would be appreciated. Okay, going forth, we also, we're gonna have a sign-up sheet, coming the end of the month for, next year for birthday Sundays and also for snacks on Sundays. So we ask people to sign up for that. Also going forth, probably, we'll have it ready next week, but we have a water cooler now instead of having water bottles, which is gonna make it easier on me. But anyhow, Jerry's gonna get hooked up this week. It's not that hard to hook up. I just didn't wanna mess with it myself and mess it up. So anyhow, that should be up and running next week. You're gonna have class Wednesday night?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we'll have happy hour at 6:30. Anybody else have anything? Yes, ma'am?
With the water cooler, we ask that you put money in a basket so that we can continue to buy the big bottles of water,
Right.
5 gallons.
Right. So we'll have a basket up there and a 5-gallon jug costs like $8. And so just if somebody would throw money in there, it'd be greatly appreciated because, hopefully that will work because before they weren't putting water in the refrigerator, they weren't doing anything. So anyhow, if you would do that, we would greatly appreciate it. So going forth, we just prayed for all the people that are not well. I know this has been a year of lots going on with lots of people. And so I pray that my great nephew is still in UVA. He was 8 weeks early, but he is doing great. My brother is still in the hospital. He's been there since September. Hopefully both will get to go home by Christmas. So I ask for prayers for both of them and for Pam's family. Of course, we ask for prayers for them and anybody else that you all know of. As I say every Sunday, everybody's going through something. And we don't always show it, we don't always talk about it, but everybody that I know of in this church is going through something. So just be kind to people. It's very important. So lastly, I want to read this card. Maurita gave this to me this morning. Oh, I was going to this thing on the front. I think the thing on the front is really cute. So, of course I do. So, all right. This card says, Dear Maurita, I am gifting to churches in the Roanoke, Salem area that Clarence and I have known, that I have been members of. And BCCDS is first on my list because of the phone call you made to me over the 25 years ago. This week marks my 25th ordination anniversary. Thank you for reaching out to me and Clarence as he supported me in my ministry journey. I wish BCDS a very wonderful Christmas. And so she wished us Merry Christmas and wrote a check for $1,000. So thank you, Betty Tarver. So we're very, very grateful for that. As always, we always give and always blessed at this church. We always have been. So thank you, Betty. We will be talking to her and thank you for sharing that. Anything else? You got anything? Okay. Let's go eat.
Okay, we usually have a prayer of protection before we close the service. Why? What do we need protection from? Well, everybody that walks the earth needs protection from, one can't even count the number of things that could go wrong. And we also extend that same feeling of the need for protection and the availability of protection to all the people around the earth, the whole family of man. We have wars. I've read somewhere there are more than 100 wars going on in various parts of the world. We need to think of the people in Ukraine and Gaza and in Africa, and many more. Shall we say the prayer of protection again to that? Maybe.
Stay tuned. I think it wasn't on our list.
Okay, then I will say it. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. The mind of God guides you. The power of God abides in you. The strength of God renews you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Shall we, we can have our final, shall we sing this together? Would you like to stand? Thank you all so much for being here this morning. Rejoice in your presence, and we have some very nice refreshments for you. The community will also.